Looking to enhance the appeal and performance of your gym with state-of-the-art equipment? Look no further than the Gym Administrator. Founded by Sal Corrente, professional wrestling manager, promoter, and author of the great book Bruno Sammartino, the autobiography of wrestling's living legend, available on Amazon.com, the Gym Administrator will spot you on that final rep and assist you every step of the way from purchase through installation, whether it be strength training, cardiovascular training, or performance enhancement. The Gym Administrator works with a wide array of leading vendors and suppliers, carefully selected to meet the diverse needs of your clientele. Service the way you remember it. Contact us at 914-494-1066 or visit our website at thegymadministrator.com, as well as all social media platforms. The Gym Administrator. All your fitness needs under one roof. Scan the barcode at the bottom of the screen to get started today.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast. Monty DeFaro, only seen here out of Tin Mirror Studios, out of Kings Park, Long Island. I want to remind everybody that our new start times are 7:30 for This Week in Pro Wrestling to 8:30, and then the main show at 8:40, the Monty and DeFaro show, where we own, and I want to make that clear to everybody, we own Thursday nights here when it comes to the pro wrestling world. Yeah, did you know that, Jimmy? We own it.
I knew that. I could confirm that.
Andrew Anderson gave a great interview on a tribute to the great Kevin Sullivan. I want to remind everybody, next week is Jumping Jim Brunzell making his return to Long Island's Pro Wrestling broadcast. And then the following weeks, the one and only time ever, the Glamour Girls will be on Monty and the Pharaoh. And then, if it wasn't good enough, the following week, the Masked Superstar will be in studio. And I got a little surprise for you on Thursday night with Jimmy, and I'm not going to tell you. And I'm not going to tell anybody else, but I promise you, you'll be very, very happy, because at the desk with me on Thursday night for the interview with the Glamour Girls, Jimmy, will be somebody, okay? Somebody that you like. Are you excited?
Somebody that I like? I don't like anybody. What are you talking about?
I think you like this guy.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so we've got the gender down. Okay, I'll start making guesses during the week. I'll torture you with phone calls. Does he have red hair?
What do you mean, does he have red hair? What does that even mean, dude?
Could be Backlund.
No, come on. You know better than that. What the hell, dude?
I'm shooting for the moon here, you know?
Backlund.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Listen, if anyone didn't know, we obviously at the 7:30 show, we were supposed to have the legend star maker Kenny Bolin on. I don't really want to share with the audience, but Kenny had certainly a very bad situation happen to him and his family. And obviously he couldn't make it on the show. Good man, and I'm only wishing him the best of luck, and hopefully Kenny will, when things get better, will come back onto the show. So Jimmy didn't even ask me. He didn't say what happened to Kenny Bolin.
I've been very preoccupied. First of all, my internet would not work. Okay, that's how my night started. And of course, Andrew being on, just coming off seeing him at the gathering, and of course his relationship to Kevin, been slightly distracted here.
Well, Jimmy and I were speaking because, Jimmy, the one thing about Jimmy, we talk about a lot of stuff, and sometimes I bring it on the air, and most of the time I don't. Or most of the time I bring it on the air, and sometimes I don't, whichever way you want to roll with this. But he was saying that he was happy that me and Andrew are getting along again. I was trying to explain to him that I never not got along with Andrew. It's just that we have certain differences that we discuss, and I don't want to call it heated because I don't think I've ever gotten an argument with the guy, but we certainly sometimes live on different planes of the planet. And coming out of the DD, you weren't on for this, but coming out of the DD Me interview last Thursday, I have made an official promise that we will never again allow that to happen on this show. Whether people know we were perturbed by it or not is a whole different situation. I certainly myself was perturbed by it. Jimmy, what were your thoughts?
Well, if I can make a disclaimer, not to sound like my buddy Bartman from Wisteria Hall, but I got to make a disclaimer. Last week, I did the show with 102 fever pretty much. I was just absolutely feeling horrendous. I had no fight in me whatsoever. So basically, after an hour and a half of it's me, it's DD me, it was really hard to stomach the whole thing. I'm sure to the outsider, it was fun for them, and that's great. You got to hear Diamond Dallas Page, say a lot of stuff, and that was wonderful. But to the interviewer, I agree with what Mike said to me after we talked right afterwards. That was the most painful experience we've ever been through.
Ever, Jimmy, ever.
I agree. I had no fight. I mean, when Pharaoh is feeling well and Pharaoh is feeling normal, when something comes out of someone's mouth, and I don't care if it's DDP, Bruno Sammartino, or one of us, that the Goldberg cattle prod was a great booking, and I'm not saying anything, apparently I am not feeling well, because that was complete torture. I mean, I tried to interject a few times, but I agree with what you said, Mike. It was basically a 90-minute infomercial.
Well,
and
I want to explain to people out there, Jim. Okay, when me and Jimmy started this, right, it wasn't in the beginning, right? There were obviously established shows, but everybody's doing interviews, and DDP has been on a million interviews. And what me and Jimmy pride ourselves on is being different, right? And to be honest with you, Jimmy and I think differently. We want to talk about stuff for different, and we were well aware that DDP is a walking infomercial, and he's very positive, and people love him, and we totally get that. But we don't want to be part of an interview that's regurgitating the same garbage. Not garbage, but the same stories. So we had a script written. We knew it would be difficult to get this. He's a legend, and he's incredible human being. That's not the point.
Yeah,
but
he's a good guy. There was nothing like
right.
that. Go ahead.
He didn't give a chance to go a different route. We wanted to talk about Kevin Sullivan. Jimmy and I knew Kevin was on his last days. We knew it already going into this. And we wanted to show our respects by having this legend speak about him. We wanted to speak about Lex Luger, right? Obviously, DDP's working with Lex Luger, and Lex Luger has turned his life around. But it's important to understand that DDP is also human. Right? So I get it that he loves Jake the Snake Roberts and he loves Lex Luger, but we wanted to know, like, when Elizabeth died, did you blame? Because they were friends with Elizabeth, right? We wanted to hear the inside of people, and DDP was not having it. He was just going straight down the line, and it was more than painful for me and Jimmy. And again, for anybody that loves MMP, it had to be painful for you guys because there is nothing new you all going to learn out there. And this is not the trash DDP at all. 1 second. Abe, is Eric on? He says he's on, but anyway. By the way, Eric Sims, Super Agent, will be joining us as part of this. This show is dedicated to the gathering where the great Jimmy Farrow went to one of the greatest iconic pro wrestling gatherings, for lack of a better term, right? To join his wife, and they went down there, and Jimmy had a great time. And I have not had a chance to ask Jimmy about his experiences down there. All right, the only experiences I've had with Jimmy is me and him doing this stuff. So I'm very interested to hear about it. Definitely very excited to hear about his experiences, and I think the fans will love to hear what Jimmy thought. But before we get into it, Jimmy, I want to get into a few things. Greg Kihn, singer of Jeopardy from the Greg Kihn Band and the breakup song, which I love, power pop singer, dies of Alzheimer's at 75. Thoughts, Jimmy?
They don't write them like that anymore.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, seriously.
Wow.
I love the breakup song. Yeah, it's obvious, but there's a reason why we all know that line. Because they don't write them like that anymore. Little did we realize at the time how prophetic that was going to be. But in general, we don't hear music like that anymore. The breakup song is a tremendous song. Now, I will say that Jeopardy absolutely hated it. I know everybody likes it, and I know it got played to death, and oh my God, I hated it. I couldn't stand that song. That song was on MTV every other second. So that was a little bit torturous. But Greg Kihn was the little train that could. He wound up breaking the plane and getting to open up for a lot of major bands back when we were in junior high and high school. And we all remember him, So as far as, achieving the dream, he certainly did it. It's sad to think that, Alzheimer's, here's a guy who was a bright musician and composer and vocalist, and he gets Alzheimer's. And I try to put myself in that spot, and I'm like, does he remember a guitar chord by the end? Like how bad was it? And I think about stuff like that. And it's really sad. Greg Kihn was one of those guys you never really read anything bad about, right, Mike? We never heard bad shit about
Dude,
Greg
you know
Kihn.
what? I love that comment you just said. A great musician, and they unfortunately get that disease. And wow.
Yeah, I mean...
You sometimes surprise the shit out of me, Jimmy Farrow. I got to be honest with you.
Look, it's the truth, though. I mean, he was a musician, and when Alzheimer's takes away your mind and your memories and your everything, so does he even, where was he at the end? I guess that's for his family to know. But, hey, he was a legend. He got it done, and I love the breakup song. I never turn that song off, by the way. There are songs that I'm burnt out on, just like we all get burnt out on certain songs. But if I hear that song come on, it stays on.
Simple song, straight to the point. Love singing along. Let's move on. Ketamine queen, drug dealer, doctors of Matthew Perry's assistant charged with his death. So Matthew Perry from Friends, who was a recovering drug addict. Now it seems like a bunch of people are going to jail for this, Jimmy.
Really? You know what's weird though? How long has he been gone now? I mean, why does this take so long, Mike? Could you explain that to me? Like now they're in trouble. Now they're busted. We didn't have the toxicology reports when he passed. We didn't have what was in his system or where he got it from when he passed. What makes this drag like this? And by the way, I wasn't the greatest fan of Friends, but that guy, Perry, was a genius. He's a comedic genius. He was fantastic. He was as sharp as they come, So it's really a travesty that this is how he goes. But what took it so long for them to figure out that these people are responsible?
It's a good question, Jimmy. And you know what? Sometimes things take time, I guess. Or sometimes they just decide they're going to blame somebody, right? Because there's always got to be a blame. I mean, let's not hold, Perry accountable for his drug use, right? It's like, at some point, right?
I'll tell you what, though. I've seen many interviews with Perry where he was very like, look, I fucked up. I mean, you do want accountability, right? You know what I mean? I mean, at least it was coming out of his mouth that he fucking had a problem. I wasn't hearing him denying it, So to me, it's sad that this is what happened at this stage. I mean, didn't Downey Jr. recover from all of this shit?
I think Downey Jr. might be one of the very few, dude. It's amazing.
You're right.
It is amazing.
You're right, but I mean, it's just sad to me. It's just very sad.
In wrestling news, Vince McMahon's health in question. Former WWE chairman Vince McMahon's health has been getting progressively worse since leaving the company, a recent report has claimed. The report submitted by, guess who? Lee Cole, brother of Tom Cole, And the former
See?
WWE employee reveals that Vince McMahon's wife of Vince McMahon disclosed that his health has rapidly declined, and he's been telling close friends and colleagues that her husband's health has not been good since leaving the wrestling industry. Now, I know you're laughing, Jimmy, but here's the thing. Lee's catching – look, with all the issues we'd had with Mr. Cole in certain venues, right? Again, I want to establish something. Cole was a friend of the show. He told his story about his brother. We listened. We brought on other people. Again, I don't want to sit here and pat Monty and Nefaro on the back, but whoever's been listening for a very long time, Monty and Nefaro brought to life a lot of things that were dead in the industry, from the cop who killed kayfabe to the death of Tom Cole to many other things. We stand by our beliefs on certain things, and we allow people to speak. So we had not a falling out with Lee Cole, but enough to go back and forth about. But Lee Cole is getting legs with what he's taught. People are listening, Jimmy. What are your thoughts about Vince McMahon and his health?
Well, first of all, I would like to ask you, did Linda McMahon call Lee Cole personally and give him this information?
Here's a couple of things about Cole that's a little bit amazing. And a lot of times I used to say, this guy's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just throwing shit against the wall. But it seems like things that he's saying is kind of coming true. Like, I can name a couple of things where I thought it was fucking crazy, but
you're going to have to specify for me, because as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen a single picture of Vince McMahon in ill health or any, pictures of him in the hospital. I will speculate on what you're asking me to talk about. So here's what I speculate. I speculate that when you do something your whole life and it's been taken from you, a part of you dies. And I believe that Vince McMahon possibly might be suffering from just that he is no longer feeling vital, valid. I don't know. But if I had to, use conjecture here, I would say that could possibly be what's going on with Vince. But again, I've not seen any pictures of him in ill health or in the hospital, or, I want a reliable source, and that's not a knock on Lee Cole. I want to know exactly where these health reports are coming from.
And also, let's discuss this. The man is 79 years old, all right?
He's an old man.
Right. It's like sooner or later shit's going to fucking break.
Do you ever wonder how Joe Paterno and Mrs. Paterno so quickly expired after Joe was suddenly removed from Penn State? I know that I sometimes have used that parallel before when it comes to Vince and Joe Paterno, but Vince's livelihood has been taken. He's no longer doing it.
Jimmy, I have to interrupt. I just got news that Samoan Afa has passed.
What?
Samoan Afa has passed, everybody, unfortunately. We knew he was in bad health. I want to thank a friend of mine out there who sent me that.
One follows the other, Mike.
Sad moment for wrestling fans.
You see what I'm saying, though? One follows the other. It's like one couldn't be without the other. That's very sad, man. It's very sad. Samoans were the greatest, dude. That's from our very special window in the very, very beginning, right, buddy?
Right. I want to ask you about Samoan Afa, and then I want to get back to Vince McMahon. I think Eric Sims has joined us. Eric, are you there? Eric, are you there?
I don't hear him.
I don't hear him.
I don't see him.
Betty Scala has wrote that that he's being told that Afa passing is fake news.
Fake news?
And B40 is now saying that the daughter's tweeting he's still alive.
Oh my goodness!
So that would be good news.
Okay.
Well, listen, right, it's good news. Listen,
now as the pendulum swings here, oh my God.
All right, so back to the Vince McMahon thing. So, all right, look, we got a pass. Afa's still alive, thank God. That's great news. Great news.
Of course.
Do you think in your personal opinion? So I will tell you this, and this is if Lee Cole's out there listening, right? Lee Cole has done a very good job with his wrestling channel.
Yes.
I would say this to Lee, that you better hope that Vince McMahon, 1, doesn't die, and you better hope that 2, Vince McMahon does not go to jail. Because, listen, I have to admit it, whatever Lee Cole's doing, it's working. It's drawing attention. But, it's based on Vinnie Mac, right? And it's like, don't let that slip away. Because if it does, then what? Are you going to go to his, what are you going to go talk about next then? You know what I mean? And I got to tell you one thing. Lee's seems like a pretty smart guy. He seems very, very smart, in my opinion. But your thoughts, Jimmy?
I really can't add anything to that. He's not going to have a choice one way or the other. Vince is going to leave this world. It's not going to be up to him.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it's a one-trick pony, that's fine. He'll have to readjust on the fly. Don't we all?
All right, let's go. We're going to the gathering. Are you ready?
Are?
Yeah.
I'm not going on that fucking plane again, I'll tell you that. Why don't we start with that?
So
let's
talk to me first. How obviously McDaniel, your wife, goes to the gathering every year, I think. So now she's got her new spouse. She brings him. You take it from there, bro. I don't know anything after that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the good news is that the Panama City Beach Airport is cool, and we got to North Carolina fine. Everything was fine. My impression of Flair Country is not a good one because I did not see the mountains. All I saw was a bunch of traffic and downtown Brentwood, if you know what I'm saying. So I was just basically like, okay, so this is the great Flair Country. Ugh. But we got to the hotel, and the hotel was fabulous. I have not one complaint about the hotel. And Sims was the first person I saw. Oi. Right away. There's Sims. I was like, but it was nice to see Sims because I hadn't been. Sims is the first physical, outside of Bart coming here for a few days, when we got married, Sims is the first physical remnants of New York besides Bart. So I was like, oh, Sims, I'm like so happy to see Sims. I'm like, you didn't bring a Knish with you.
Wait, who would ever think that? Who would ever think that the Pharaoh would be happy to see Sims? I would never think that. I
was thrilled to see Sims, and he was sweet. He was really nice. He was like, Pharaoh, how you doing? Gave me a big hug. It was nice. It was really nice. I was moved. I was like, okay, that's a nice start. But Mike, you're gonna have to drive the bus a little bit here. You gotta.
All right.
Wait. Okay, so we get in and we go up to our room, right? And the room is lovely. It's lovely. Oh, it's beautiful. And all of a sudden, go. What the? Karen and I look at each other. I'm like, the hell was that? Like, I don't know. We look up, boom. They're doing construction on the floor above us. I'm like, are you serious? I think I might have called you right away, like, they're doing construction. I had to step out for a cigarette, I'm like angry already. I'm like, are you serious? But it turned out that they stopped at 5:30 and we never heard another peep out of them the rest of the way, thank God. But that's how that started. And then it was off to the to check out the convention hall, which was big. It was nice, convention
How
halls.
was it compared to the big event on Long Island and Queens?
There is nothing like the enormity of New York. So it wasn't as big. It wasn't as congested. It was busy. There was traffic. There was ample room to move around. I'll say that much.
All right. So let me bring you
the guy who did it. This guy T-Mart
right.
that does the gathering was fantastic. The guy's great. I mean, he really set everything up very smoothly. Every event went down very smoothly. He knows what he's doing. He's going to be doing another one next year, the Gathering 6. But, like I said, it was packed. It was busy, but you could move around. It wasn't as big. Like, the room that we used to do. Oh, my God. That was immense.
Right.
Like, New York is bigger. It feels bigger. It's just more people, more sardines.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy. Here you are, right? You're with, obviously, Karen McDaniel. You're
Yeah.
part of one of the biggest broadcast shows on pro wrestling. You go to this pro wrestling event.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
were your expectation? Were your expectation is
None.
people going to love me, people going to know me and swarm me, or no one's going to know who the fuck I am?
I had none. I had no expectations. I expected nothing, and I think that really served to be to my advantage to not expect anything. I mean, after all, I'm there with Karen McDaniel. She's got her table, she's got her books, she's got everything that she's doing. She brought a robe that she sold, and I just wanted to make sure that I was a good support for her and not make myself a scene.
Right.
This is serious shit. You know what I mean? Like, I took this seriously. I'm like, man, this is business. You'd be proud of that, right? This is business.
Absolutely.
I brought the Monty and the Pharaoh shirts and the business cards. Every single one of them were distributed. Every single one of them were handed out.
Well, can I? One expectation I did have. Could you not have worn the shirt with the giant fucking code on it so people could scan and fucking go to our channel? What was up your mind there?
Oh, well, why didn't you just text me? All you had to do was text me. I was there for 4 days. You ding dong! Don't get mad at me now. This is something that you should
First of all, I'm not mad. I'm just asking the question.
Well, and I'm answering it. You had 4 days to send me a text. Hey, numbnuts, put on the one with the barcode on it. I wasn't fucking thinking. I wasn't thinking about it, I mean, it makes perfect sense, by the way. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it's a little late for that now.
Oh, it certainly is.
Ay, Jesus God. Yeah, then everybody's like coming up to me and scanning me with their fucking phone. Great.
All right, so
great.
You get to the convention.
Airport?
It's the first day.
Yeah.
Who's the first wrestler you end up walking and running into?
Oh, God. All right. Well, keep in mind, Thursday night was everybody's just coming in. All right. So I don't remember anything major going on other than a lot of people coming in with their bags. And what happened? I'm trying to remember what happened. I mean, we wound up at the bar. Okay. The first night was basically the bar, and everybody was at the bar. So I guess to answer your question, the first person that recognized me was Jack Victory. Jack Victory's at a table, and man, he is one huge dude, bro.
Oh, yeah, he is a big dude, right?
Seriously, he is huge, and he saw me, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" Gets up and gives me a hug, and gets me like 2 or 3 drinks. My God, everybody was just drinking and talking and having a good time. Also at that table was Sags from the Nasty Boys. The Sags, same greeting. I was very surprised, Mike. These guys remember us.
Well, I'd hope so.
I know, but like I said, I went in expecting nothing, so it was nice. Sags was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And Sags is the ultimate ball buster. I witnessed him just crushing everybody and everything around him, which was hilarious. Jack Victory is probably the funnest guy to have drinks with, But the first night was basically just a lot of people coming in. I remember seeing Marty at the elevator. I saw Marty Jannetty for a fleeting moment during these 4 days. I was coming out of the elevator.
Did you meet his new wife?
Yes, and that felt very cold. Very cold. I don't know if she's just, reserved. Maybe she's just reserved. I have no idea. But, Marty and I gave each other a big hug. And I introduced myself to Marty's wife, and she basically looked at me like she's been watching the Monty and the Pharaoh library with Marty Jannetty. I was like, uh-oh, yeah. I could be wrong.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, it wasn't good. I was like, oh, all right. But
so
there were
a few questions, and Abe will pop up the picture. So at some point, Greg Valentine's there, and so if everybody remembers, I don't know if everybody knows the story, so I'll say it pretty quickly, right? We had the great Missy Beefcake on before she was on doing her own show, and she's got some medical issues, and that's why we haven't seen her.
Right.
She had a lot to say in retaliation to Greg the Hammer Valentine's C-word comments on WSI, and when that video went up, Jimmy was still trying to settle down in Florida, so I called Jimmy about it. But my phone was ringing off the hook. Right, first it was Brutus Beefcake's ex-wife was calling me, and then the point where Greg Valentine and his present wife are calling me, And, it was basically like, why did you have her on your show? Take those videos down. And the conversation was pretty back and forth, right? Because, again, never again will last Thursday night happen. And I told Greg Valentine, I said, you said the C word. To her, she retaliated. I said, do you call the kid from WSI and ask him to take the video down? No, right? So what are you calling me for? Well, right. I thought we were better friends, and, and I'm like, I really know you, bro. You know what I mean? I don't know you. I mean, I'm being serious. So anyway, my concern for Jimmy was I knew Valentine was there. So I'm going to pan the baton to Jimmy. My fear was Jimmy was going to get the wrath of the Monty and the Pharaoh show from the Hammer. Jimmy?
Right. Who also happens to be my all-time favorite wrestler. Let's
Absolutely.
not forget that part.
Yes.
Right. So the story that Mike just told you, I can tell everybody sitting at home watching the show tonight that made me squirm like a worm. Okay? I was one of the most uncomfortable things going, oh, crap, we're engaging in words with Greg. God damn it. Like right away. That's how I felt about it. Like, pretty much. Okay? So Greg was nearby our table at the gathering, and there were several times, and even Andrew commented, because Andrew's been very close with Greg in the past too, Andrew Anderson, that he doesn't even get to talk to Greg nowadays because of certain restrictions coming from above. I'll leave it at that, But Karen,
by the way, for Jimmy doesn't want to say it, but I'll say it, from the wife, but go ahead.
Thank you. Karen, walked over because she's known Greg forever. They're good friends. And she said, whatever she said, because I've never asked her word for word of what she said to Greg. But the next thing I know, because, I've just figured, let her do her thing and we'll see what happens. And obviously her thing worked because she said Greg wants to say hello. So I walk over to Greg and on the inside, I'm going, oh, my God, here we go. And Greg was so friendly, and he was like, if I can, imitation is the best form of flattery. He looks at me, he goes, Pharaoh, I'm not mad at you. Missy's a fucking bitch, and that's the way it is. And he goes, but I'm not mad at you. He goes, of course, I remember the show, and I remember, coming on those couple of times and eating Mexican and stuff. Greg was a real sweetheart to me, and I really did appreciate that.
And by the way, Greg Valentine is he is a good guy. Okay,
I love Greg Valentine.
Let's make that unclear. Business is business with me, right? We give people the right to speak. He didn't like what she had to say. He tried to leverage us, the show, and use our business relationship.
Unfortunately, that's I understand.
Which doesn't fly with me, right? It's just not going to fly.
No, it didn't fly. Mike, it didn't fly with me either. I'm sure you remember me agreeing with you. It didn't fly with me either, but it was still I grew up watching Greg Valentine, oh, fuck moment for me.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Fuck. I mean, we can tell both sides of the coin and have it be the full coin.
So
and that's the deal.
Now,
it was wonderful.
If you thought Valentine was an uncomfortable situation, I was worried about Jimmy because Jimmy was in a foreign land. This was... a lot of things. I'm not going to say Jimmy doesn't want to do, but Jimmy is a kinder soul than I am in many cases.
On a social level, you're right, Mike. I was in a foreign land because, believe it or not, Mike knows this to be true. Outside of when I perform on the show or when I perform with a band or whatever, I'm pretty private.
Yeah,
I really am. I'm very, very private. So this was that, but coming from a wrestling thing and expecting nothing, I belonged. And that was the best part of these 4 days, was realizing that was like, wow, Mike, you and I have done some good things with this show, because the response to me being there was very surprising. I was very surprised by it.
Which is awesome. I want to get more into, but so we get off the Greg Valentine thing, and then another person there is Vito, where Eric seems not to be able to come on, or we got some kind of connection issues.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. So if everybody remembers, Eric Sims, a friend of the show, he was in a war with this guy Duke Loves Wrestling and Vito. and
Right.
they were beating up Eric pretty well. And, me and Jimmy felt that it was unwarranted. And if everybody remembers the show from maybe a year and a half ago, I forget the timing.
It was a while ago.
We took care of business, and enough that people weren't very happy with us, or people loved it, whatever it was. So now I knew Jimmy was going into more land with this. And by the way, Eric Sims was the promoter for Big Vito, and we'll get into that in a second. But so here you go. Mm-hmm. You're here, Big Vito. He knows who you are. What happens?
All right. First of all, another disclaimer. I grew up, as Mike knows, I love ECW, and I go back to Vito's days of Skull Von Crush, and I do remember Vito rather fondly because of ECW. So this was not Greg Valentine, but still an awkward oh fuck kind of thing for this ECW lifelong fan. I'm like, oh fuck. However, this one I handled a little differently. I saw Vito at the bar. And I walked right up to him and I shook his hand and I said, why the fuck were you not on our show, bro? Before anything else came out of my mouth, I just, because I felt that I could comfortably do that with him.
Sure.
I felt I could comfortably do that with him and he would get it. And his response was basically like, he passed it off to Eric and that's not for me to know. I don't know what went on with all of that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but Eric's not here. I would rather appreciate it if Eric is here to say for himself.
Well, I'm
here. Can you hear me?
There he is.
Look, he has appeared.
Let me just get this in.
I had a down. I cut out for a second. I had a.
All right, Eric. So let Jimmy. All right, Eric. Let Jimmy get this in.
Let me get this in. Basically, when he passed the buck to Eric, I stopped the conversation right there, as far as Eric went, because I'm not privy to what Eric and Vito talked about, or what the discussions were, or what the fuck was going on all that time.
So before Eric speaks to the situation, I'm going to give you Monty's thoughts of the situation because I'm going to ask you a question, Jimmy, and give me your thoughts before Eric shares his thoughts.
All right.
So Eric has problems with Big Vito.
Right.
We defend Eric, and then Eric starts telling me he wants to promote Vito. So a couple conversations between me and Eric could tell me if it's the truth or not, right? I would say to him, what are you doing that for? Why are you doing that? The guy trashed you. He's going to trash you again. And Eric's like, I really like him. He's a good guy. I really love his wife. She's such a wonderful person. And I'm like, you're making a mistake. This is the conversations going back and forth. Hence, now we go to the gathering. He promotes Big Vito. This is from Eric to me, and I'm going to ask you what your thoughts are. I'm going to give you the story, and then Eric can chime in after you give your thoughts. The agreement is, Big Vito, you come in, you sign everything, you get paid, you go home. Thank you. Let's do it again if it works out. Vito gets in late. There's some kind of delay. He asks Vito to sign some stuff on a Friday night, which Vito's like, no, I'm tired, which is totally understandable, right? I can't do it now. Saturday comes. Everything seems to be okay. Sunday comes. At some point, Vito tells Eric, I'm not signing anything else. And he somehow doesn't like the fact that Eric is lacing into the employee who Eric's paying for whatever situation. I don't know. Eric can explain that a little better, and I don't want to go too drawn into it, Eric, so when we get to you, I don't want to hear the entire Bible about it, right? We want to get to the bullet points. But Vito dresses down Eric at the event. Eric now leaves. Vito, as you know, Jimmy, you're trying to fly back to Florida. You get hung up, and you're there till Tuesday. Same thing happens to Vito. Vito then asks Eric to rebook the flight, which is certainly Eric's responsibility. But then he's asking Eric to pay for his hotels till Tuesday, right? Because his flight's canceled. And I said to Eric when I found out, I said, why should you pay for his hotel? And I could be wrong here, and I'm asking you, Jimmy. Number one, it's past the agreed contract. You're taking care of his flight. It's not your fault that sleep in a fucking airport. Not my problem. Mm-hmm. Next thing, You dressed me down at the event in front of everybody, and you didn't sign everything you said you were going to sign. Now, disclaimer, Eric took care of the man's hotel and took care of everything. I was giving my point of view, and I'd ask people in the chat if they think I'm wrong too. I wouldn't have done it. Jimmy, ball in your court.
Are you telling me that Eric took care of his
Yes,
hotel?
Eric did take care of everything.
Oh, okay. Now, as far as whatever was agreed upon to be signed, I don't know if Eric probably does do this, but I don't know for sure. I've never sat and talked, every last decimal point with Eric. But I would tend to think that if you want something signed, you must contract them for a certain amount of photos to be signed. And if he doesn't hit that target, I would logically think then it's in violation. But I don't know what the terms were between the two of them. Now, as far as paying for the motel, I think that's very kind of Eric, because honestly, Karen and I did not have our stuff paid for when we got hung up another night. We paid for it out of pocket. So it is what it is. I mean, that's all I can really say about it.
You're agreeing with me then that the contract was over that Sunday. I'm sorry that flights are delayed. I'll take care of your flight, but you got to fend for yourself. You want to stay at a hotel, you pay for it yourself.
I could see it being handled that way. I don't think that there's a wrong way here. I think Eric took a very kind way. That's very kind
if Eric decided not to do it, would you hold Eric at fault?
No, because like I said, Karen sold all of her material and had 4 successful days there. But when we got hung up, we paid for our room when we got stuck for the extra night. That shit happens, I mean, shit happens.
All right.
I think that
The baton goes to Sims. Sims, what's the story?
How you doing, guys? Welcome. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you on, buddy.
On Monty and the Pharaoh. So the long and the short of it, I'm going to be a little long-winded, so just let me get everything out before you start asking.
Oh God, I'll be right back. I got to get my shaving kit.
Why don't you go take?
Go ahead.
Why don't you go take a shit? All right.
Oh, he's got toilet paper. He's got some.
Now, I never thought that, when I being the agent and this and that, now I'm going to have to start walking around with this because, you get some of these prima donna divas that you go around. You got to wipe.
Here we go.
You got to wipe their asses.
Oh, here we go.
But anyway, so like I was planning the gathering. I didn't know who to bring. I was just banding names around. Vito's having problems at home. With the wife, just trying to pay his bills, and I kind of had a decent relationship with him. So I booked him for the gathering. Figure see what we can do. Marty, the promoter, says don't book a guy more than one day there. It's the same guests that matriculate the whole time. So I was so I booked Vito, and that I wanted a little something extra. So he recommended me calling Johnny the Bull. So he hooked me up with Johnny the Bull, and we do the Mama Luke's reunion. So I make a deal, so I set the deal in motion there. So everything's going good. I get all my photos, like the graphics kind of done, everything printed up. About a month or so, or a month and a half out of the gathering, Vito calls me. I need more money. I could stay home. He's trying to work me for more money. So I was threatening to cancel. So like I kind of work. So it's like I already had the pictures done. I had the Mama, Johnny the Bull was coming, and so I worked with him to try to help him out because he needs to help pay medical bills for the wife. So he told me the price he wanted. I deep down I knew it wasn't going to work, but I said, okay, I'll pay you your price as long as you sign all my photos. No complaining. He kind of reluctantly agreed to that. Now keep in mind, I had a lot of photos.
Wait a minute, so he reluctantly agreed, or he agreed?
He agreed.
Okay.
He agreed.
Thank you.
The optimum word is agreed. But
Eric, I got to interject here real quick. How many photos is a lot of photos, please? Be honest.
I had about 300 photos.
Jesus Christ, my wrist.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
No, wait a second.
Okay.
Wait a second.
Okay.
He does this new mafia gimmick. So the wife sent me a bunch of photos, these mafia photos. So I sent them out to my graphics guys to do up some awesome looking graphics for that. So I ran a bunch of those. Then I had to run like some FBI stuff. So I had graphics guy do that. Then I had to run Mama Luke photos. So I ran bunch of that. So there was a lot of, and Skull Von Crush photos because he did Skull Von Crush also. So I had to run a lot of photos to get signed.
Because he's three different characters. That makes sense, right?
Right.
You needed enough for three different characters.
Everybody knows what I do. I do these virtual shows. I sell. I need inventory. So, that's what I have. I got to have a ton of product for my, inventory, whether it's
all right.
3 packs,
got it.
Whatever.
Got it.
It's inventory. Okay. So we get down to the gathering. His flight is delayed. He was supposed to do it at 7, didn't get into around 10 o'clock or so. So by the time we pick him up, he's already tired and hungry, but everything's shut down. All major restaurants were shut down because everything shuts down around 10 o'clock over there in that area. Yep. Waffle House is 24 hours, which is a fucking scam over there because you can't go in and sit. You could take out for 24 hours, but you can't. They lock the doors at 9 o'clock.
All right, so I made rules here. We're not going to do the DEP, so we go to bullet points. We get it. Everything's closed. It's late at night. Boom.
I couldn't get him. He get him back to the hotel. I asked him to sign a couple of things. He didn't want to go. Boom. I told him go to sleep. I'll see you in the morning. Skull Von Crush outfit 9 o'clock in the morning. So Saturday went fine. We did the pro photo ops. He went to the vendor room. Everything went good. We had a decent day at the
Let me ask you a question. At that point, are you talking friendly or is it always business?
A mixture of both, but it's always business.
No, but when you have a relationship with someone that you've worked with, you kind of talk like it's friendly banter type of thing.
Of course.
So is that the banter you have at Vito at that time? Or is it total business blah, blah, blah?
More business. I think more business.
Fair enough. So Saturday goes well. Go.
Friday goes well. Friday. This is Friday now. So the business end of Friday went okay. People came, spend money. Now he got a text early in the morning from Johnny the Bull stating that that he couldn't come because the kid had a family issue. So and then Johnny the Bull didn't text me till about 3 or 4 hours later. But Vito knew ahead of time. He told me. So that changed my demeanor the whole day because I knew I was going to get fucked.
Right. So you planned on this combo. He doesn't show up. Now you're like, where I think I could make money, I'm going to lose money. So now your mind is going a million ways.
I'm already in a foul mood,
right?
Because of that. Which evidently rubbed Vito the wrong way because I should be smiling and happy and this and that. But anybody that knows me, knows I am who I am. That's it. I am who I am. Sometimes I smile. Sometimes I don't smile. Whatever. It is what
I got it. But right now, your mind's on business. You're there to make money. Now you've been screwed. Plan has been screwed up. Go ahead.
Right. So I go through the day. I did great. Val Venus was at the table. Everything went great. There was money coming in. Not a lot, but enough, but not still not enough to cover the payroll or expenses, whatever. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Money came in. The day went fine. Then we move on to Saturday. We did a little party at night. We went to dinner, hung out at the bar. Whatever, just socialize, whatever. But that's all good. We come Saturday. Business was dead for us, literally dead. I did, What saved me was the pro photo ops. We did 9 pro photo ops.
I got you, but Saturday it's already you see you're losing money. You're like, I'm losing money now.
I literally brought in maybe $100 at the table, maybe $50 at the table.
I can vouch for Eric too because he was in a much better mood at the beginning, and I did talk to him briefly when he was not having the best of times. So I did see it happen.
So a lot of things were happening on Saturday because the other FBI members were there. Another vendor had Tony Mamaluke and Big Sal, and another vendor, which was on the other side, had Guido. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of moving around, and, the vendors trade with each other. I had a lot of FBI stuff that I had to get signed. Another vendor had some of his stuff that had to have Vito signed. So one of the vendors was rubbed Vito the wrong way. So like Vito's in a bad mood.
Okay, so stop there. Why does he rub Vito the wrong way?
He just like threw shit on the table, didn't say hello to him.
Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Usually you say hello, how are you, shake someone's hand. It's etiquette. It's called etiquette.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
That wasn't that was rubbing Vito.
So now you're already having a bad day money wise. Vito's now pissed off because he feels like he's being disrespected by an agent. Okay. Yeah. Now.
So the long story short. So we get through the day towards the end of the day. I had to take care of some stuff, and we did this and whatever, back and forth. So at the end of the day, after he's all, Vito's all bent out of shape with this and that, because it's a long day and he didn't want to stay at the table any longer, knowing we weren't making money. I wanted to get some Shikishi board signed at the end, so I had the FBI guys sign it. Waited for Vito to do it last. He wouldn't sign it. He wouldn't sign the Shikishi boards. The other vendor had an 11 by 14 photo of something that he wanted signed. Vito wouldn't sign that. He said, Vito's reasoning, I'm not going to sign it. The guy don't bring me in. The guy don't work. Do it. If I sign it, then there's nothing left for me to do. He doesn't realize the guy's a wrestling promoter and could bring him in to wrestle and whatever. But so Vito was being stubborn. He told me multiple times that he just wasn't signing it, and I wasn't letting it go either. I wanted my shit signed. So that was it was getting agitating back and forth. So by the time it ended, by the time it was over and he wanted to get paid, so he wanted, it wasn't good enough for me to hand him his envelope. I had to take him to a private room.
Well, real quick, hold on. Also, you had someone working for you, a guy named Richie. You yelled at Richie about something, right?
So there's a lot of moving parts. So like Richie was doing something with the other table and just doing, with some merchandise, and I was telling him to do this, do that, whatever, because I'm very OCD and I like things done a certain way. Richie's used to that. It's not me yelling at him like he's a dog.
But Vito took offense that you were directing Richie.
Well, yeah, I'm the boss. That's what the boss does. You give direction.
So now he's not signing what he promised, right? He then gets mad at you because you're talking to the guy who's your employee for that moment. He didn't like the way you were speaking to him. So now he's making you count out the money because he doesn't trust that the envelope is full of the right money.
Well, I take him to the private room to do it. So I instead of just handing him an envelope, I count out the money. I got all the hundreds on the table. Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly
Keep going.
What the deal was. Not to mention the extra $20 bonus, the $20 because he wants me. Because I'm not going to go out to eat with you guys today. Just give me $20 and I'll go get something to eat. So fine, I'll do that. Plus, I covered his check bags. He wanted me to cover his one check bag, so I had to.
Which, by the way, Jimmy, I want to ask you something. If you're bringing in a guy and then he tells you you're not good enough to go out to eat with him, isn't that offensive to you, Jimmy?
I don't know if I would be overreading it. It all depends. I got to be honest.
It's not that we didn't want to go out to eat. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I think Vito kind of knew I wanted to get out.
Okay, gotcha.
So, right. Yeah, I wasn't overreading much on that.
So yeah. So, we go into the private room. He's already pissed off or whatever. I count out the money. Everything is correct and this and that. And I said, there you go. You think I was going to, screw you? And it's like, no. Then he gets up and he starts yelling at me, telling me how I'm unprofessional and you're yelling at this and you getting in a fight with the other vendor over something. It's unprofessional, and he's just like really berating me left and right, got loud, which was witnessed by another worker from T-Mart who came in the room. So who looked stunned. So at that point, I'm done. Fuck you. I'm done. You don't talk to me like that. I'm the boss. Whatever I want goes. I don't give a shit. If I need this done, I need that done. If I say this to Rich, I don't care. I'm the boss. I'm in charge. So whatever needs to get done gets done. It's my fucking company.
I got you. So he's mad. You now you leave. Now you leave, right?
He's yelling at me, which people heard outside the door because he's loud. I mean, we were face to face. I wouldn't say it was going to come to blows, but it could have.
I got you.
It was close.
But now you're done. You're leaving. I'm
leave. I'm done. So Richie and I are packing down, and we pack the car. I go say my goodbyes to everybody, and we get out of there. And that's fine. Everything's good. We get up to our hotel and whatever, a couple hours down the road. We lay over for the night, and we're starting up the next morning. I said, Rich, wait for the phone call. We're going to get the phone call. So around 11, 12 o'clock, whenever it was, we got the phone call. Flight was canceled. I need you to, like, when you get home or whatever, I need you to fix the flight. Now, I don't know about you, but you get dropped off at the airport. Your flight gets canceled. You go to the counter. You go to the counter. You let them book you on the flight. You go to self-service kiosk and let them fix that up. But no, he calls the driver because we had a driver. We had the driver. The T-Mart driver drove him to the airport Sunday morning because I couldn't do it because I was gone already. So dropped him off, picked him up, got him back to the hotel. In the meantime, he told the hotel, save my room, because the flight got canceled. The hotel's $150 a night hotel. I ain't paying that. I'm done. So I called the front desk, said, cancel, don't charge anything to my room. It's just, I'm done with this. So then I rebooked his flight, and I couldn't get anything out on Monday. Well, actually, I could have got something out on Monday. It was the last flight out, but I didn't want to do that because he'd have to leave his hotel, whatever hotel, 11 o'clock in the morning, and stay in the airport all day long. That would have been hell on earth, and I wouldn't have heard from that, for long after. So I booked the first flight out Tuesday morning.
So you took care of his flight.
I took care of his flight.
Right. Now he wants you. Now I'm
not. After I initially talked to him about that, I refused to answer the phone anymore, and he kept calling Richie or texting Richie or whatever. And I told him, I'm done. I'm not answering. I'm not taking any phone calls. Nothing. I don't give a fuck because I'm already pissed off. You don't talk. You don't talk down to me. You don't dress.
Right, I got it. He dressed you down. He didn't sign your photos. You're done.
Diva.
Right, you're done.
He was very needy all weekend. It's just like me. Take care of me. Whatever. It's just like, enough already. I've never seen people like that.
So the point, look, Eric. Eric, the point is, because we're almost out of time, right? And I want to get to a bit with Jimmy. The point is that you took care of everything, and he's still attacking you.
So evidently the wife then called me for the hotel issue. So I had to pull the car over another time, start price lining hotels to figure out where to keep them. Then I called go back to the wife because I took her text message or phone call or whatever. I was communicating with her, and then she said, "Call Vito. He's at the front desk. They're working it out." So I called Vito. He puts me on the phone with the T-Mart driver, Paul, and Paul tells me, "Yeah, we got him a hotel. It's going to cost you $200. It's by the airport." I said, "Fabulous, take it. Do it." And he said he paid for it. So fabulous, but he wanted to know how he was getting paid back. Now, that's a sneaky move that Vito did, because now he had the T-Mart driver pay for it. Now, if I didn't reimburse him, I would get heat from T-Mart, from Marty, for fucking his driver. So I had to PayPal the guy the money, which was the right thing to do.
So here's basically, you didn't want your name trashed, so you felt it necessary to take care of the business all the way through, regardless, even though it was beyond the contracted agreement, right?
Yes, it was the right thing. It technically was the right thing to do. I didn't have to do it.
And then in turn, after you did all this, Vito's still attacking you and trying to embarrass you within the agent industry.
He's telling me that he was abandoned. If you read his post on his page, he was abandoned and this and that. He wasn't abandoned. The Timor driver had him. Okay,
so
we rebooked him at an airport hotel, Hilton, by the way. So he was in a nice, comfort place, a full-service hotel.
So basically, here's the thing: you got two different things going on here. Vito felt like whatever, and you made a decision to carry it on. And I think going back to what Jimmy said, either which way, you handled it the right way. But if you handled it the other way, I don't think many people could complain. But he's still going out of his way to say that you were unprofessional, even though you brought him in. So here's the lesson that's learned, right? Because I got to get to this final bit because we got to call it a night. And I didn't even get to talk to Jimmy about his time at the gathering, but which was the main point of the show.
Whoops.
So the point is, Eric, when people treat you like trash, don't let them treat you like trash again, right? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, shame on me, whatever.
Years ago, and then we had some type of problem, and then if I gave him second chance, I'm big on second chances and whatever. Great, we did it this time. It just didn't.
So basically, if you give him a third chance, it's your fault and it's your problem, right?
Well, I tried it because I felt bad for the wife and the sick. I want to help.
I got it. I covered that way in the beginning. All right, listen, Eric, I heard the story. I agree with you. Jimmy weighed on his point. I want to bring back something which you call Dear Pharaoh. Hang in here, Eric, for 1 second. Okay. Jimmy, we're bringing back Dear Pharaoh. This is where someone writes in and they want Jimmy to give advice. Are you ready to go, Jimmy?
Yeah, I would just like to quickly say that I really liked Big Vito as a person. I thought he was a really good guy, and I enjoyed his wrestling match, and it's unfortunate whatever the fuck happened with those two, but I totally get it. I get it. Go ahead.
Hey, you know what, Jimmy? You're 100% right. It's like you like the guy. He's a nice guy. I don't know the guy. He seems like an okay guy, but just on this situation,
right?
It seems like it wasn't done the right way. Okay. Dear Pharaoh, I work late nights, and when I come home, my wife is acting very suspicious. When I ask her what she did while I was gone, she gets defensive. I've also noticed many banana peels and coconut shavings around the bedroom and bathroom. Normally, I wouldn't be too concerned, especially since my wife is 400 pounds. But neither of us eat bananas or coconuts. What should I do? Concerned over coconuts, Centerville, Iowa. Jimmy?
Centerville, Iowa, huh? Wow, what a problem. Wow. Well, let's see. It's pretty obvious that a 400-pound chick needs a lot of bananas and coconuts if she needs some private time with herself. So either you start filming it or continue to ignore it. Good luck.
Wow, that's some solid advice. Okay. Question 2.
What the hell were you expecting? That's a ridiculous story. Next.
Dear Pharaoh, I'm from Memphis. My wife has given me an ultimatum. Either shave my back and my distinguished mustache or I'm leaving. The problem is I've recently made a good amount of money working from a kid from England who actually likes my hairy back. What should I do? Conflicted in Memphis.
Don't change a thing. Yosemite Sam is a fucking legend. I wouldn't change a thing. Just leave it the way it is. It's all good. And enjoy your love life with the kid across the way because he loves your furry back. Ew.
Wow.
Where do you come up with this?
You know what, dude? I don't know if that's such great advice. Anyway, Jimmy.
Can I add a couple things?
Sure.
Oh, God.
Good.
But I think Vito was mostly pissed that I wouldn't let him stay at the convention hotel with the other people that might have been missed their flights or whatever. because I just don't want to pay $150 a night for a hotel when I can pay $100 a night for a hotel. Not to mention it would cost me cab fare to get him back to the airport. I don't know if the T-Mart driver would have stayed till Tuesday.
I got it,
we
Eric.
Got him at the hotel. We got him at the airport hotel for less money, but a decent hotel.
It's clear. It's clear.
No
It's clear, Eric, that you should never promote Big Vito again. What do you think, buddy? What are you thinking here?
I just might have to take that advice.
Right, and not to mention, I'll add it in that Big Vito called Johnny the Bull and said, "Don't sign any more of Eric's signatures."
I was trying to deal with Johnny the Bull, do a makeup, but Vito squashed, kind of put the kibosh on that. So now I have a bunch of Mama Luke photos and Johnny the Bull photos that I'm waiting to get signed, and whatever. I gotta figure that out. And, when I do, we'll get that done. But
Well, Eric, I think everybody's heard your story, and they'll be able to share that. Real quick question before we go, and then Jimmy, please send us out. Eric, is there truth behind the rumors that there's some kind of shenanigans going on at the gathering between vendors and wives?
A lot of fun. It's 4 days filled with question and answers, barbecues, banquets, karaoke, party at the bar, the convention, the meet and greets. I mean, it's so much fun going on, and anything and everything goes on for those 4 days. It's a wrestling fan's dream convention. It is my first time down there. I really liked it down there. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of my Facebook friends that I see, that I see and deal with a lot, and they were there. It's just a cool.
Jimmy,
cool thing.
Jimmy, is it one of those great events, Jimmy? What are your thoughts, Jimmy? And send us out, please. Send us out with your thoughts about the gathering and your time, Jimmy, and send us out.
I had a blast at the gathering. I agree with Sims. It's a great event. It's everything that's right about wrestling. I enjoyed even the matches. There was matches on Saturday night. I enjoyed the matches too. And I was watching those matches instead of SummerSlam. I was thinking about that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm missing SummerSlam to watch this. And it still had a great time with it. It was a very smoothly run event. I really had a great time. It was not as claustrophobic as a New York experience. But it was very busy. It was very hectic, and it was very organized, And the bar was a major highlight, obviously. But so were all those cigarettes I smoked with Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That's awesome shit right there.
There was that, too. But my greatest moment of all was when Leilani Kai and Judy Martin rolled up with their bags, and Karen went over to say hello to them. And she started to introduce me, and Leilani Kai said, "Oh, I know who this is." And she's like, "I want a picture." And Judy was like, "Me too." And it was fantastic because Leilani said that our show is at the top of her playlist. And that was a really, really great moment. I felt really, really happy when she said that. That was kind of surprising. She is from that little window when we all first started watching wrestling, as far as you and me, Mike. So
well, it's funny you mentioned Leilani Kai and Judy Martin. The Glamour Girls will be on in 2 weeks on Thursday, and let's not forget that the great Jumping Jim Brunzell, who his book Matt Memories will be here next week, and then the following week is the Masked Superstar. Again, Jimmy, send us out. Eric, I really want to thank you for joining us. I hope that your next promotion goes much better. Jimmy, send us out, please.
All right. You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh. And quick shout out to my wife, Karen McDaniel. It was an honor going to that gathering with you. I couldn't have been more honored. That was a great time. Until next time, folks, Monty and the Pharaoh saying later.